Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. It is Monday, the 5th of October, 2020. I am your host, the Amazing Super Chris. I've got Nokasuchi from the Rage channel on YouTube. And we also got Andy Hall, my other co-host, my wonderful co-hosts, from the Laughing in Disbelief blog over at Pathos. They're going to join me here in just a minute to talk about Typhoid Trump, our cootie commander. Let's see, there was other ones. Let's see, COVID captain, the plague president. The Phage Fuhrer. We're going to be talking about him just after this.
Donald Trump is making America more dangerous. Two millionaire lawyers in front of their mansion threaten peaceful demonstrators with guns. The demonstrators are marching to the mayor's house to protest the killing of an unarmed black man by police. Donald Trump honors them at the convention. Their only achievement, they threatened peaceful black demonstrators with guns. Less than 24 hours later, a young man follows their example and kills two unarmed demonstrators. A young, impressionable man sat in the front of a Trump rally and heard his message of hate and division. Today, he's hailed as a hero by Trump supporters. This is sick. This is wrong. This is dangerous. And as long as Donald Trump is president, he'll keep encouraging the kooks, the crazies, the extremists, the angry fringe. It doesn't have to be this way. Reject the hate. Reject the violence. America or Donald Trump? Stand up for America. The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Andy and Nokasuchi, for joining me again this morning. I hope you all had a great weekend. Andy, did you have a good weekend?
I did have a good weekend, Chris.
Yes.
How about yourself?
It was good. Hey, Nokasuchi, did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I did. I was recuperating from my debate right up until yesterday, and I was sent home for COVID symptoms. So I get to go to the doctor today. So yeah, a good weekend, but a crappy morning.
The Rage may have the cooties. I would appreciate it, the Rage, if you would please put an N95 over your microphone for me.
Well, that's why I'm using my avatar today, because that's my mask. So
okay, you got a mask. Nice. Okay, because I may need to sit back further. No kissing.
Yeah.
Today. Okay, just today though.
Yeah, just today.
So I hope you're doing better. I hope you get over that. I hope you.
Yeah, it feels like a cold, a little bit of bronchitis, maybe. So that's what I'm hoping it is. Let's go bronchitis.
Bronchitis, yes. Well, hopefully, what thoughts and prayers?
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers.
It's funny about COVID, right? Because it's so, for those of us who lived through the AIDS pandemic, it's like, so what sex acts can I do?
Yeah,
that won't get me infected. Makes list. All right, these are the approved ones here on this column, and in the other column,
yep,
not approved.
No longer approved. Oddly enough, the approved column is the ones that all involve just you. All by yourself. Anyway, before we get too far along, I would like to say hello to the damn nation. Good morning, everybody in the chat. Brainbug, good morning, Brian. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you had a great weekend. Derek Cruz, good morning, Derek. Robert X, thank you for joining us. The girlfriend, hello, the girlfriend. Not sure whose girlfriend. The Rage is the Rage's girlfriend. Rage, do you have a girlfriend?
I wish.
It's somebody's girlfriend. The girlfriend is here. It could be Amy. That girlfriend.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think Amy might be actually working this morning.
Oh, Amy could be. Oh, yeah. It could be her. Our secret disguise. Anyway, good morning, Ian Davenport, Lady Starfire. Hi there. Nice to have you with us this morning. Ronan Kanushi. Hello. Amiga Nuts, thank you. Woolly Ignorant and Flow State. Hey guys, everybody, thank you for joining us this morning. And before we get too far along, of course, hello to everybody in the Facebook who watches us on Facebook and listens to us on the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast live. Thank you all. I hope you all had a wonderful and safe weekend. Now off we go to save the world. Andy, hey Andy, did you did you happen to see on the third day of Christmas? It was really slow. There was nothing going on. I thought, man, there's nothing. Then we get this doctor comes out and he's like, red is green, blue, no, shoe on, off, light, go. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? And, I'm like, is there a secret decoder ring? Is there something? Is this like code getting it to Putin? Anyway, so that happened. I thought, okay, nothing. There's not going to be any news. It's a slow news cycle on Sunday. And then President gets in his little clown car, the cootie clown car, the COVID clown car, the COVID clown car of cooties. And then he goes driving around the hospital. And I'm thinking, man, this guy's really got a highly infectious disease. You can tell by the way he's acting.
Oh, yeah.
And, I thought it was really odd that just before he did this, he released a video where he says, hey, guys, I went to school, not the books kind of school, the real school. And at the real school, I learned about this stuff, and now I got it. And then he gets in his damn car, exposing at least however many people did he expose going through the hospital, as he gets into the Turd Force One and goes around the thing. He's got at least 2 security officers or 2 Secret Service agents with him in this hermetically sealed rolling bag.
Yeah.
To demonstrate that he didn't actually get it. Clearly, he did not get it.
For everyone listening at home and abroad, and all the troops at home and abroad, one of the books that helped inform me years ago about how people behave in plagues is a Barbara Tuchman's book, A Distant Mirror, The Calamitous 14th Century, because you had the 100 Years' War going on, and you also had, of course, the plague, the mother of all plagues, plague hitting Europe. And you just kind of like, you look at the human behavior back then when they had no idea about what caused the plague. And you say, well, it's pretty crazy stuff, but it's understandable. And you look at how some people in high positions of power are acting as if the germ theory of disease is just some kind of crappy fan fiction that you read on some crappy site. You just say, wow, maybe just the stupidity of human beings is eternal. That's what it is. I just think that it doesn't matter what time period you're in or how much the quote unquote science is, people are still just gonna be crazy.
I had a notion. Here's the notion I had. That's a good idea. People ought to check out that book. I had this notion that, because Trump does indeed now have the cooties officially, we were presuming he has the cooties for real. So Trump is in this hospital, but none of his handlers, the handlers who control him, now he's got the cooties. So they can't really be there with him to control him. And it's Trump without his handlers amongst all these doctors and staff and all this other stuff. And he's just kind of going and bossing them around, and the Secret Service people. I just figured that because he's got what he's got, there's a lack of control between him and the people who would normally keep him kind of bottled in at least a little bit.
Well, what's interesting about sociopaths, and I don't know how much people in the audience know about sociopaths, is that they need to have stimulation. They need to feel something from the outside because they don't have anything going on the inside of their, feeling anything. So they have to seek out external stimulation. So you can see, Trump, he's been in a hospital room, even a really nice hospital room or series of rooms for a period of time. And, he's got to do something. The little crazy engine in him just goes, I got to feel something. So what if I just cause some trouble? What if I just do this? And that's how I see it. It's just a typical sociopath behavior of needing stimulation and seeking out stimulation.
There's no reason why we can't both be right, though. I'm telling you.
I had 2 thoughts when I saw what happened yesterday. One was he did put out that video and he looked better. And my first thought when I saw that is they could be putting makeup on him. And then he tweeted out that the people outside were going to see him soon, and he did his little tour around the hospital so people could see that he was better. My thought was that it's actually a lot worse than they're maintaining, and he's trying to present that strong front and tell his followers not to worry. But my second thought was it seems we have went from one extreme to the other when it comes to masks. So Trump was saying, hey, masks aren't effective. And now it's almost like he's saying masks are 100% effective. And as long as I wear my mask, then I'm not going to be putting other people at risk. And he clearly did put those Secret Service agents at risk by being in close proximity in that car with them. So it seems like we went from that extreme, hey, masks don't work, to now, like, as long as I wear my masks, everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, that's not what the science says.
And when we talk about the ring of stupid, right? Or at least when I talk about the ring of stupid, because that's the analogy I like to use, him just pissing off more people who are like his caretakers for all intents and purposes, his Praetorian Guard, the people who keep him safe. The more he pisses off those people, the greater chance of something wrong going.
Oh yeah.
The greater chance of things going south for him.
And the Secret Service is not happy with him right now.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't happy with him, but I mean,
I'd hope most people at this point,
the polls do not look good for him.
Yeah, well, let's run through a few things. Just looking at the past week, did they know? When was the first official test that they actually knew? Did they know whenever they went to?
I think they had to have.
I think they had to have known when they went to the debate that they had the cooties.
Either they knew or they're not doing the testing as they're saying they are.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. It's one or the other.
Because, I mean, it was they did know. We know for a fact, though, that Trump knew Wednesday. He did know Wednesday. Now, when he knew Wednesday, did he know Wednesday morning from a test, or did he know that whenever him and Hope Hicks were on a plane together and she started showing symptoms and went to the back of the plane at that point? And did he know? But he knew somewhere along there. He knew, and he still went to fundraisers and he still went to other places. He went to a rally Wednesday night and went to a fundraiser Thursday.
If someone on my plane was showing symptoms, I'd be like, "You're spending the rest of the trip in the bathroom. That's what you're doing."
I'd be like, open a hatch.
Right. And you can't really trust what the guy says, because, I mean, even his own doctor comes out and he says, with the 72 hours since his first test. Well, wait a second. That puts it at Wednesday morning. And that means he knew about it before he went to that rally. And that means that he exposed all kinds of people, not just people at the rally, but look at all the people around him. I mean, this is not good.
I agree. I think he had to have known, and I think that his family refusing to wear masks is atrocious, because I think that they probably knew as well. And it's all about PR. It's all about public relations and showing that strong front. And I think after he got spanked in the debate, and the debate didn't go the way he wanted to, well, then it was time to take a different approach to it. And that's where it could, I think we don't know if he actually has COVID, because you can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth, and all of this could be PR.
Very true. Yeah. You just don't know. And I saw somebody, I think it was Dr. Kyle Johnson this morning, post a picture, and he said, whenever I'm wrong, I admit that I'm wrong. And here's a picture of another doctor, a real doctor. I guess he says real doctor because he's got an MD on there somewhere. A real doctor verifying Trump's test. But, you can't trust anybody who works for Trump. You just can't. I mean, we got to have some kind of.
I think personally, I lean, he probably has it, just because he's an idiot. And if you don't wear your mask and you don't practice the protocols, you're probably going to catch it,
Hey, Flo, you got to type !vote first, and then no for your vote to register, buddy. So just thought I'd mention that. There's all kinds of stuff. But when did he know? How many people has he infected?
I think that's what's important.
What kind of activity is going on in this hospital now? In other hospitals, they have entire wings that they section off, or sections of the hospital where they put for COVID patients. They take that stuff very seriously. Is Trump just traipsing back and forth from his room to the boardroom over here to this room over here? What the hell is going on with this guy? Down to the car park, out to the Are they? Is there any kind of?
That's a great point, Chris.
And there's nobody there to handle him. Ivanka can't be there. All these people who would normally be there, Jared Kushner can't be there. All these people can't be there to handle him. It's all Dad, stop doing stupid shit. Okay, I'll stop doing stupid shit. That's
it perfectly. And you nailed it. That's a perfect example. Like when I had my heart issues and I went to the hospital, I had to take my daughter with me. You know, I'm a single father, and it was spur of the moment, and she had to go with me. Couldn't find somebody to watch her. They were freaking out the whole time. You got to get her out of here. Somebody needs to come pick her up. We have active COVID patients. Yes, they're on the wing over, but this is dangerous. She needs to get out of here. So you're making a point. It's very limited the people that can be around him at this point, and I think that's making a lot of people nervous. You look at Mark Meadows intentionally telling people the truth about his condition, and now Trump is furious at Mark Meadows because Trump can't be there to handle Mark Meadows. You know, so it's two-way street going on right now.
Yeah, and what about Ivanka? Where's Ivanka now? Not Ivanka, Melania. Now Melania has the cooties. They said she has the cooties. And that's it. She's gone. Now, I have heard that she's asymptomatic, but we don't see her. Okay, so she dropped. Here's the. This is just notions, right? I'm going to say it before I say it, then after. She dropped this thing, and there's this thing came out about her trashing Christmas and about her trashing kids in cages. And then all this stuff happened, and then she gets the cooties too. She's got the cooties too, and she's sequestered. I wonder if she's embarrassed and hiding because of what happened with the thing, and she wants to avoid any kind of having to answer any questions about that. And if, just going on the if Trump really doesn't have the cooties and this is just a game, she didn't want to play it. Yeah. She didn't want to have nothing to do with it, so she's not going to go to the hospital and parade around with him or nothing like that. She'll just stay here in a corner room at the White House and just hide out for a few weeks. Just a thought. Maybe she didn't want to play the game. What do you think, Andy?
Well, you know, I think in general that I think that she's a good foot soldier, Melania Trump. She basically does as she's told most of the time. Because otherwise Trump would have gotten rid of her a while back, to tell you the truth. He seems to have at least, part of who Trump's is knowing who's going to do whatever he wants them to do when he wants them to do it. And even before he knows he wants them to do it. That's the thing about being in these autocratic systems, is that you got to know the mind of the boss better than the boss knows his own mind, right, in a sense, to stay out of trouble. So I think and more than likely, if you look at the Amy Coney Barrett's, party, the super spreader event, they were all clustered together. They were all clustered together. So I think it's quite believable and it's probable that Melania Trump has COVID-19, just as the president does. As the president is in the hospital, his polls are going down. Right now, 538. Has Biden winning 82 out of 100 times and Trump winning 18 out of 100 times with only a tie in the middle. So no, I'm sorry, there's no tie because 82 plus 18 equals 100, Andy. Stupid Andy, stupid brain. But so, yeah, this is his lowest point right now, Donald Trump's lowest point. And he understands, the nature of the cult of personality. So, the cult of personality requires on the person being out there doing their cult thing. And right now, him being incapacitated means that, he's even more desperate than before. And so that's why he did this little car parade, this little toddler parade in his car, is because he's desperate. He's even more desperate now than he was before.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, the dynamics of Melania's COVID to Trump's COVID to Hope Hicks COVID. So we know the science says you're going to get it as bad as the dose you pick up when you first get corona, right? So if you get a smaller dose, you're probably going to have much milder symptoms from it. And if you get a stronger dose, you're going to have much more severe symptoms. So if, and I'm being funny, but at the same time, this is serious. So if Hope Hicks is the instigator, right? She's the original person that brought it into the White House. I find it interesting that Donald Trump got a really good dose of that COVID, right? And is now in the hospital, to where Melania didn't, and she's asymptomatic and isolated. Yeah. So I think there could be something there. How did Donald Trump get such a big dose? And then I think we all know that Melania and Donald hate each other. So maybe the holding hands gave Melania whatever she has.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not I see that. I don't. Yeah. Okay. I get you.
What I'm essentially saying. Yeah. What I'm essentially saying is,
you opened it with it was a joke, though.
maybe the Trump and Hope were getting a little too intimate.
Yeah. Yeah.
My joke I was gonna write on the blog was that both Melania and Hope Hicks gets diagnosed with mouth COVID.
There you go.
What I mean.
You're bad.
I am bad.
Hey, you are a bad person. I saw that. It just says in the report. I'm just repeating it. Let's see. Jessica Morgado, are you there still? If you're there, Jessica, you have to put the exclamation and the word vote together, or it doesn't count. So vote, do your vote thing again. We've got a poll going so far. We've had 9 people vote. I'm going to toggle L poll. Come on, poll. Should Trump be held accountable for spreading COVID? Type exclamation point vote, all one word, and then your answer. Space, and then your answer. So far we have 8 votes for hell yes, King Rat Liquor. I did that. That was me. And then hell no, we've got 1 vote for hell no, and that would be for from
a no vote is like saying Stalin wasn't really responsible for all those gulags in the 50s and the 40s.
Well, that's
and
true.
The purges in the 30s and the famine and the Ukrainian famine and all that other stuff. So some people are I came up with this phrase, and tell me if it's already been used, gentlemen. It's incentivized psychosis. Incentivized psychosis, and I think it's a characteristic of evangelical Christianity culture as well as Trumpian politics. I think people are just incentivized within these systems to be crazy. They're incentivized to have thought disorders.
You could be onto something.
And I look at it like this, like, right, I was sent home last night with COVID symptoms. I know I have COVID symptoms. If I were to like pretend, and my boss is going to actually require like a doctor's note clearing me, but like say I were to pretend and I need my money, right? And I go to work and I know that I know that I have COVID and I'm going to work. And even though I'm wearing my mask and following protocols, I know that I'm spreading it around. Well, I think that some action, some accountability would be required of me. And I would agree with that. And I don't see how you could not look at Trump in the same situation as you would put yourself, like we would be held accountable for that malpractice of action. Yep. I think, I'm not saying what being held accountable should be, but I'm just saying he should be held accountable for spreading a disease.
Yep.
Well, real quick, I want to say thank you to Paul Kemish for the £4.99 of support to the channel. He asks, do you think it's possible Typhoid Trump, uses this to stop the election in November? I absolutely do. I don't know about this, but I've been saying that he's been pushing this plague for months now because he wants to somehow have it negatively affect the election. And this is I think this just plays right into their deal. I don't know how yet, and I'm glad. Yes, I think the answer to that question is yes.
Mm-hmm. I think he's probably planning several things at once because that's just who he is in his mind.
And if this was like some kind of curveball, they're planning something to bring it back on track,
But they want to do I heard they're talking about like shutting down the Senate, except for going forward with the nomination for Garrett.
Yep. Yeah, they're definitely trying to go through with that. But I think that this spreading into the Republican Party of this disease could hurt them because a lot of these senators aren't going to be able to show up for that vote.
That's right. And you know what? The modern day plague may save our democracy.
Maybe. Yeah.
I just want to go over again the DNC. All right. I am not going to give hand jobs to the DNC for good jobs. I'm not going to give hand jobs to for Biden for doing a great job. Okay. Biden's best move he's done is to stay home. Mm-hmm. This is his best and most intelligent move done. Yeah. If it wasn't for COVID, Trump would be burying them in shallow graves electorally. He would be winning. COVID is the thing that is going to give our republic a respite.
I guess you've said that before, haven't you?
Yeah. If it wasn't for COVID, we would be having a presidential gaffe season like never before on both sides. Both nominees would just be putting their foot in their mouths every other second.
Yeah.
It's really a shame though. And now, goodness gracious, we've got, and that's why, there's one thing about, if he survives, if he does have it and survives, I mean, oh man, he's going to play this down. More
Oh,
people
yeah.
are going to suffer because of this.
Just-
More
Just
people will
because he
suffer.
survives doesn't mean he's going to be the person he was before. You know, he had a lot of energy, as we saw in that last debate.
True.
The man has a lot of gas in the tank. But you hear what people say about Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson being a younger man, and he doesn't have as much gas in the tank now.
Well,
now that he's gotten
I-
over.
I think
COVID-19.
there's legitimate science behind that too. A lot of people that are picking it up, especially if you get that higher dose and you have those worse symptoms, they're not recovering quickly. If they're recovering to 100% at all.
I think it's unrealistic to believe that Trump is going to be at 100%.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing though that Trump. Okay, this kind of makes me mad. Trump gets up there on this video. So all this time he's poo-pooed the science, poo-pooed the science, poo-pooed the science, right? The whole time about everything. Poo-pooed science, poo-pooed science, poo-pooed science. Trump gets the COVID and that man goes directly to the science. The best science that money can buy, he's applying. The best new science that hasn't even come out yet. The science he got is reserved for mercy for people who are on COVID deathbed. He gets this stuff. It's not even, you know what I mean? This guy gets all that stuff. Is that not, you know? And then he comes out and makes a video going, I learned, not from book school, but from real school. I'm like, you're kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me to literally knock science. The only reason why you're sitting there sucking down air right now, if you got the cooties back is because of the science. And now, oh my goodness, you're going to sit there and deny.
Chris, I'm going to say a couple of things that are going to trigger you right now because I know how much you love Vladimir Putin. So I was watching Fareed Zakaria, and I just want to let people know that yes, I do cite my sources so that you know what sources I believe are relevant and reliable pieces of information where you can get information. So Fareed Zakaria, who does the show at 10 a.m. Eastern on CNN, he did this segment on Vladimir Putin, and Putin is whatever you want to say about the man. The man's a mastermind, evil genius. As we have a brain-addled dictator, would-be dictator, Vladimir Putin. He has told everyone in Russia basically they can go back to work, right? Except for Vladimir Putin. What he does is that if you want to see the boss, if you want to see him, you have to be in quarantine for like 10 or 14 days before you even see him. Really? He doesn't even interact with people. He does all of his meetings via Zoom or whatever the Russian counterpart is that, you know, so he is having absolutely no exposure to anyone that even has a slight chance of having COVID-19. That's how much Vladimir Putin is. That's how serious he's treating this.
Yeah. You know, it's really kind of a shame though, to consider all the things that have gone on, and are they doing it now? What's going on in the White House right now? Have you guys heard? How are they treated? I heard that some of the interns and stuff are wearing masks. There's a different mask up kind of policy, which kind of leads to what Andy was saying earlier. Apparently, we've got the plague of the generation of the century is upon us. And now because Trump has worn a mask and learned, now he's got it, he's telling people masks are kind of, so now they're going to have masks. And that's going to be the end of it. Is that about what you think we'll see in the White House and around?
Well, whatever we're going to see from the White House. They're still
bucking masks, by the way, in the reports I saw. Like Sundays, the people come out talking to the reporters are still bucking masks in the White House.
Well, you know, it's an interesting question about what is going on in the White House without the boss being around, right? Because you have all these systems, whether you're talking about, you know, any autocratic system, when the boss is away, you know, you would assume that the system just continues, you know, every system has this inertia to it, right? Autocratic systems, unfortunately, have a horrible, you know, lumping kind of dysfunctional way of progressing without the dictator or without the head cultist being around. So, thankfully, I do not have any concerns. Personally, I don't have any concerns about whether or not the military is doing its job. I think the military is probably one of the few institutions in the country that does its job to a level that I don't think, like, if the Iranians decide to act up, that there isn't going to be a response to it, or that our interests are protected. So, what you don't see too, what is interesting is no one is jostling for position, right? Within, at least that we see. It would be interesting within the White House, within the Trump family too, about whatever line of secession there is, whether or not there's any fighting or infighting between, let's say, Ivanka and Don Jr. or, oh, heaven forbid, Eric Trump. About taking the Trump, being the patriarch or the matriarch of the Trump clan after the boss, if Trump doesn't make it, who would be now in charge of the system. That's what those are stories I would like to see, or I'm just curious about.
Right. Well, Lady Starfire mentions that all of the White House people are wearing masks now, at least in the video she linked earlier. So it's, we'll see how it goes. They just sure seem to be, and here it is. Julie the Voice. Good morning, Julie. Says 3 senators get COVID-19 and they're still bucking masks. Don't know why I'm surprised. Wisconsin and Mississippi are rolling back mask ordinances regardless of contagion rates. So they're failing.
Michigan is too.
Michigan, they're failing.
Michigan Supreme Court just outruled Gretchen Whitmer's mask mandate. A Republican U.S. or Michigan Supreme Court just overruled her. But now that Trump has the cooties, now the Republicans are saying, well, maybe we'll work together and we'll come up with a new mask ordinance. So it's chaos right now. Like the Republicans, I think, don't know what to do because their strongman is locked away in the hospital.
Well, that's the problem when you don't have a good system, when you don't have people that you can rely on, when you only rely on one idiot, basically, to lead your idiot parade. It's a problem inherent in autocratic systems. I just want to say that, I talk a lot of smack about Massachusetts being the best state of the union, but our rates here are pretty high. Our RT, retransmission rates are like a 1.18, I believe, or 1.24. And they're talking like my kids' school, which, props to Chris and Mr. Rage for hearing me complain about my kids' school system, but they're talking about opening up school for everyone, like just doing a hybrid system. They're all doing distance education right now, but it's madness to think of reopening schools when they're completely closed right now to in-person classes when you're about to enter flu season and this transmission rate is so high. It's madness.
It doesn't make much sense what's going on. And I think it's because we have somebody at the top. Our president hasn't taken the lead on this for 10 months, and it's just been chaos, and nobody really knows what to do now. So they're following his lead, following them right into the gutter.
That's right. And they've lived on this hypocrisy of the Supreme Court justices. Absolutely the lies these people. So they've got that whole Supreme Court justice. They want to, Ginsburg dies, and they want to rush through a Supreme Court justice because they want her to help win the election after they contest it, for one. And they also want to help her get rid of abortion and get rid of the ACA and all these things, and so then they have this, because they're morons, I said it, they have this super spreader meeting over there to so they can all run around and pat each other's backs about this Supreme Court justice. And now, bump, all these people have the cooties. How's that going to change? Clearly, it's thrown a hiccup. So now, as they've been mentioning in the chat, 3 people, not 1 or 2, but 3 people so far of these Republican senators have the cooties. They're all older gentlemen. We're going to watch the news over the next few days and see how many other people from those events also have the cooties. Andy?
So I just want to dig into the Schadenfreude a little bit more. Who's the number one person from the super spreader account? Who's the number one person in your Deadpool from the most recent spat of Republican lawmakers, past and present, who are now infected with COVID-19?
Are we doing a Deadpool?
I already know who I think is most likely to drop, but that's my first.
Okay, if we're being crude and such, thus I will play. Look what they do to us. I have no problem. I would say Chris Christie.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm with you on Chris Christie.
Yeah.
Nosedive, man. No offense. He's not as bad as some, but
but he can be at moments, and I think he's got to be feeling in trouble right now. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like the fact that he was telling a reporter that, I'm doing fine. I drove myself to the hospital. It's like, dude, it's like I know a bunch of guys my age and much younger than me who drove themselves or walked to the hospital when they were in the midst of a heart attack. And so the idea that you're like going to be fine, you're able to drive your way to the hospital, probably to stop off at the drive-through.
I finished my work shift in the midst of a heart attack. So.
Yeah,
right, dude. Yeah. So the idea that he thinks he's going to be fine because he was able to drive his way into the hospital, that's not right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, as a private individual, it's my right to sit around with Andy and knock and just say whatever the hell ugliest thing I want to. But as a person, a left-wing representative of the left-wing crazy people, I feel I do have to hesitate a little bit before I do things like that and go, yeah, I want that guy to die. Well, preferably not. I'm not saying I want Chris Christie to die. I think he's a little bit of a clown. They should just put more makeup on him, maybe. But he's also sold out and all that. But I've never wished him death. I'm just stating that due to health issues and the fact that he's put it off as long as he did before going and all these things, that he is possibly going to be one of the first to go. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I know definitely as a secular humanist, I struggle with that. I struggle with, should I glorify something? Should I express the elation I feel? And the funny thing is, and I've seen some people do that. I'm not going to lie, but I've seen far more people on the right criticizing people for doing that than I've actually seen people doing that.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm just screaming at the top of my lungs. Y'all waited an hour before you announced that you were going to fill RBG's seat. And you're talking to us right now,
That's right. Some of them actually celebrated her death. There are preachers out there on the right who are going, her death was God answering my prayers. Have you guys not seen that? And they have the balls to step up and go, anything about us? It's just I'm ready, man, because they celebrate RGB's death. That's a great example.
Yeah, and then just get so outraged if somebody says, "Woohoo!" The dictator's in the hospital. Well, I mean, the dude deserves that criticism based upon his own words, his own actions over the last 10 months. Like, you can't blame somebody for stating the obvious.
Yeah. So let's say it's 1938. Right, World War II hasn't started yet, but there's some kind of Nazi virus going through and hitting the major members of the National Socialist Workers' Party there in Germany. There's a bunch of people I don't know their names of, and I'm like, yeah, if they got it, in this hypothetical, if everyone who was in the top positions of the Nazi party in 1938, if they all dropped like flies from a virus, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be pretty happy with that. I wouldn't be sad about it. Would I be throwing a party about it? Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know, but that's just me.
I definitely think that there's an argument to be made. Trump has talked about not handing over power, not having a peaceful transition of power. He's talked about not accepting the election results unless he's victorious.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a strong argument that COVID could be doing the country a favor here. Yes. I'm not stating that, but there's an argument for it.
Saving our Supreme Court. We just talked about that. But then also, I mean, with the Trump thing, how do they? Oh. But like you said, with any luck, it'll run through there. With Nazi Germany, though, one of the reasons why the problem of Nazi Germany stopped after the war, mostly like 95% of Nazi Germany issues stopped after the war, was because they all died. All those right-wing nutbags who hardcore believe that shit were physically killed, mowed down, and wiped out by the Allies as they sank.
Or they had to go into hiding.
Germany. Or they had to go into
hiding so severe.
That's right. That's why there's not that. But what would have happened had, instead of us actually winning and killing them all, let's just say we won financially, they stopped, and we hadn't killed them all?
Well, you'd have something like Jim Crow laws, except they'd be like Jim Crow Nazi version laws.
It'd be all kinds of Nazi things going. They would still have power. It would have, and that's kind of what happens here. There's nothing that's going to take out the third of people that seem to believe in this fascist furor that we've got going on. There's no little war we're going to have that's going to kill them all off.
And based on what you're saying, we know that some did survive, some did hide. We know the ideology survived, and we are seeing a resurgence of that over the last decade or two, all across the world, not just in this country. Even in Germany now, they're having white supremacy resurgences. Dealing with it again.
Yeah, and they're flying their little rebel flags. Over in Germany, they can't fly a Nazi flag, so they fly the rebel flag, the Confederate flag. Well, the battle flag of Tennessee. It just depends on.
And now even in Germany, more and more are getting those balls and flying that swastika.
That's right.
They face really severe ramifications for doing it, but they're doing it again.
Julie LaVoice, hi Julie again, says, I love it when Julie reasons. She's just smart. I love it. Feeling glee or Schadenfreude about Trump is ethically sound because 200,000 Americans have died on his watch as he downplayed the virus and spread disinformation. You know, a Cornell University study shows he is the #1 spreader of misinformation about COVID in the world, or the United States at the very least. #1 is this guy. Now, if you want to be mad at me for luxuriating in my Schadenfreude, then fine, be mad at me. Go on YouTube and watch videos of this man make fun of Hillary Clinton, an elderly woman. I was
going to bring that up, dude.
As he thought she was having pneumonia and she was stumbling because she was having problems walking. Go watch that shit and then bring that back with me about how he said. And then go look at him. Does he really have the cooties? If you were at a hospital, any hospital, and you had cooties, they'd have you in isolation, and there's no way they'd let you out to go drive around the hospital. That's crazy.
They still talk about Hillary's falling down, and I mean, they still show it, they still glorify it, they still laugh about it. I mean, this false outrage on the other side, it's weak and pathetic. But they're so good with their narratives that they win these narratives, and it's, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying that about the president. And then other lefties is like, why are you saying that? He's a human being, and I'm like, we can't win here. We can never win.
You can't let people get in your way of what you're doing. I just had the philosophy or of strategy of that, I'm going to do my comedy. I'm going to make my statements. If you like them, that's great. Please hit like and contribute to my Patreon account. And if you don't like it, then get the F out of my way. I don't have time for you. I'm out there propagating my ideas or scientifically sound ideas. And if you don't like it, that's fine. That's fine. I don't care.
Yep,
Just
exactly.
Just get out of my way.
Absolutely. Well, there's just so many things that now, I mean, Jesus. Now he's actively, before he was downplaying it and encouraging you to not wear masks. Do you see the one where he's telling people, hey, take the mask off, take the mask off, take the mask off. And the guy's like, I'd rather not. Yeah. And now, this past week has exposed that not only is he willing to just tell people out there to do it, he's literally willing to go around. It's like, it's one thing when Hitler said, you go kill Jews. It's another thing for Hitler to go around killing Jews himself. How many Jews did Hitler kill personally? Did Hitler personally walk in and do something to them personally that killed them, that ended their lives? None that I know of. But Trump, if what has happened over this past week, it's possible Trump walked into that benefit Thursday knowing he had the cooties, shook hands with elderly donors, and ended their lives. That is entirely possible.
Yep. True enough.
And all those God believers out there saying that God sent Trump to fix the country, I bet won't be saying that God saved the country if the worst were to happen.
Yeah. I want to talk about our brothers and sisters who are nice progressives, liberals, and humanists. Okay. I think a lot of the reasons why they have a lot of the difficulty they have with the Schadenfreude is because most of us are affluent. Most of us live in blue states. And so that incentivizes us to act nicely. We don't have that same kind of, it's an irrational, once again, the position of not enjoying Trump's, and this is going to be an interesting argument I'm about to make. The idea that they are not celebrating Trump being sick. They may say that that's a rational thing to do, but I would say that's just a side effect of the fact that you live in relatively in comfort, most of you, and that a corollary to that is that you probably have difficulty experiencing strong emotions in general, because I just see many of us, you talk to people face to face, and a lot of us really nice humanists and progressives. It's almost as if in the search for being reasonable, we repress our emotions so much that we are not effective politically. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot feel, you will not be energized to do the things you need to do politically. You have to feel your feelings. It's as simple as that.
It had Trump came out and at least made an effort to try to do the right thing from the very beginning, to try to find the science, even as the science was going back and forth and information was going on, I think it would be a different story. But I'm sitting here as a guy that's about to go and get a COVID test and could very possibly have COVID. And I'm telling you that, yes, I am glad that Trump has it. No, I don't hope he dies. I think, if he does die, I'm not going to shed a tear, but I don't wish death upon anybody. But I am glad he has the disease, because I truly believe that he did not act as the president of the United States, did not take control of this, and he should catch it, because 200,000 people have died. And how many people have gotten it? And how many people wouldn't have gotten it had he just taken the lead? Had he just provided the testing? Had he coordinated the states? Had he provided masks? Had he provided the PPE? So I think it's good that he has it. And if he does survive it, I hope it teaches him a damn lesson and he will come to the science on this. I really do.
Well, one of the things about that I saw is that here we've got this president, and he's like releasing a video from the hospital with COVID, getting the best of the bleeding edge technology, science, medical technology to save him, the best of the best. And they show a video of him signing papers and things going back, and release a video of him going, well, I got to get things done. We were getting things done. And you know what those things that he wants to get done is to eventually the end result is to remove the Affordable Care Act, to remove Obamacare, to remove pre-existing conditions, to remove insurance protections from millions of people. The man is literally skipping there. Happily going, let's get back to work so I can hurt and harm millions of Americans and allow them to not receive the very same luxuries I am receiving.
Yeah,
and that's disgusting.
And quite honestly, without RBG there, it could be a split court, but there's a really good chance that even if they don't fill the seat, they're going to overturn Obamacare. They're going to overturn pre-existing conditions, and that's going to happen very soon.
Yep.
And man, it's just going to hit the fan. They're going to pay a price for that, because we're in the midst of a pandemic. People are getting sick. You were mentioning a spike in your state, Andy. I'm not sure how it is for you, Chris, but here in Michigan, we have a spike. In my town, we have a spike. So it's everywhere, and they're going to pay a price for this if they're taking people's insurance away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's just one of the things they're trying to do, but absolutely. And it's just disgusting. And we see all these senators. I'm glad now you see them flaunting these rules and taking off their masks and telling people not to, and doing this. I'm glad it's running through them. Have you guys seen the meme? There are these memes where it's like, ooh, how is it that all these upper echelon Republicans are getting the disease, but not Democrats? I'm like, well, probably because they're a bunch of stupid morons who've been arguing against the science since the day one, who flaunt the rules, who don't require masks, who don't wash their hands, who don't do the shit they need to do, and who hug, and the people on the left don't. It's like the riots, even with our riots, they still wore masks.
I heard from QAnon the Democrats are poisoning the water of the Republicans with COVID, and that's the reason why the Republican senators are getting sick. It's like QAnon said, it's the Democrats' fault, Chris.
Well, I personally am not going to knock Trump for taking the plague to that fundraiser with all those oligarchs. Thank you, Trump. This is going to be the first time I'm going to thank the president for something he did. Thank you for taking the plague to the oligarchs running this country. Thank you. Applause.
Okay, I can do that. Thank you very much. Thank you. You win on that one. They should be standing. You know what you should do? You should do this, though.
Laugh.
I'm just saying. Anyway, that's kind of the deal. But that's, it does point back to, because I love my little soundboard, and any opportunity I get to use the soundboard. So now We are the ones. We're not being sympathetic. Who are the bad guys? All right, so Trump is doing all this stupid shit. Literally, if what happened, and he knew he was sick, went to this thing. I mean, he's killing people on purpose. And who are the bad guys? We're the bad guys because we're not sympathetic, right? We are the bad soundboard. And Andy's a bad guy.
Oh, I am a bad guy, man. I am. I'm nothing but bad.
Nokasuchi down there.
I'm a patriot. That's what I am. I'm a patriot. I want what's best for the country.
That's true. That's the whole deal. All right, so we're watching a movie, right? And the hero is he's rushing to get along. He's like a spy, right? And he's rushing to get along. And the evil Russian Empire is trying to get an agent into the presidencies and to corrupt all of the of one party. That's what's trying to happen. And our super agent, our spy guy is running, and then he slips and falls and dies. And then the bad guys win. That was 4 years ago. You know? Mm-hmm. Any other agent out there who's going, oh, damn, they won because Agent 04 couldn't do the job. Now I have to struggle against this tyrant who is, right? So that's just kind of how I feel about it. We're the heroes.
Point. Yeah, you make a great point. We have been fighting the good fight, and we have had loss after loss after loss. We lost the Supreme Court. Obama didn't get Merrick Garland. We've had Mitch McConnell just being the bully Senate Majority Leader for a decade now. And finally, their misinformation, their science denial, their propaganda catches up to them. And we're the bad guys? No, my friend.
But that's how it always ends up.
I'm going to make the implicit fact explicit with the idea that we cannot rely on the Republicans to implode every 8 years or so, and then we're given the presidency. That is just a long-term, non-sustainable strategy.
Yeah. You know, I've been having some notions about what needs to happen after this. We need to, the conservatives have no problem changing the laws, or at least the hardcore conservatives had no problems removing rights. Well, especially if they get full power. Let's take away their right to vote, or let's take away their right to this, or what their right to that. Well, I've got some of that shit coming too, because whenever this is all over with, the far right, we've lost the Second Amendment. It needs some serious adjustment. No more of this, because the people who claim they needed weapons in order to protect our nation from threats without and within embraced those threats and helped oppress the people whenever those threats reared their head. There's no way you can hide that the president of the United States is not a threat to the democracy of this nation. You cannot hide that, and they are embracing him. That Second Amendment, gone. You've lost that. First Amendment needs some adjusting too.
And if they won't let us get it gone, then I'm speaking as an anti-gun guy. I've been a pure. Then the left truly needs to arm itself, because I'm telling you, the moment that we start walking around with these assault weapons is the moment they'll start talking about gun regulation.
Yeah. Well, they just won't have a choice, is kind of my notion. And then the First Amendment also needs some regulation or something. We need to figure out some way because the world has changed. And some information, there again, whose information is not harmful, whose information is harmful. We could argue over that all day, but something needs to change, because this notion that Fox News and this right-wing propaganda, that this has to stop. It's got to stop. It's destroying our country.
If I was going to have my magic wand and say two things that I would like, that would be the most important thing to propel our country towards being more like Norway than a banana republic, I would say free healthcare for all. And there's a myriad of reasons for that. And of course, taxing oligarchs appropriately.
Absolutely.
Those two things are probably the most important things we could do to make the United States of America basically more like Canada.
Yeah, overturning Citizens United, I think, should be our number one priority. Yeah. But I think that's like a given. I think both sides actually agree on that.
This pandemic has proven that we really could have given college, free education, free healthcare. We could have afforded all of that all this time. It's just a tiny little number.
Money. There's always money. Bernie
Always
Sanders
money
should have
for
said in those debates. There's always money.
Yep.
There's money for tax cuts. There's money for endless wars. There is always
always
money.
money. Yep. They just don't want a smart populace.
They don't.
Strange,
They don't want a
that.
healthy
That's
one.
crazy.
They don't want a healthy populace.
right.
I'll tell you that.
That's right. Well, they don't want them to be unburdened and being burdened financially where you've got bills and all this and you're worried about making your payments and you're making your bills. And what if you get sick and all that? You're too busy to rise up.
Right. Slavery is debt.
Rise up.
Slavery is debt.
Brainbug asked how the poll is doing. It looks like so far we've got 16 votes. I got to say that's the most we've ever had so far in our polling. If you haven't voted yet, take a moment and vote. Should Trump be held accountable for spreading COVID? Type vote. And yes, got to put the exclamation and vote and yes. Okay, hell yes. King Ratlicker so far has 15 votes. Hell no has 1 vote. And there are no maybes. So it seems clear that, especially if what we know to be true, he really should be held accountable for something. Especially, man, I got to believe. I don't got to believe. I believe they knew going to the debate that they were infected. There was some infection going through there. I believe they knew that. And I believe they took their masks off on purpose.
I think they should have been held accountable from the beginning. As soon as he started doing open rallies again, the moment Herman Cain died and other people started getting sick, that should have went on Trump because people were telling him not to do that, and he chose to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell you something. If I was Chris Wallace on the first debate, and I knew that all those Trump clan had their masks off, I'd be like, F you sideways, put on your effing masks right now. Right. Because how can I be an adult? How can I look at my children in their eyes? How can I look at, I imagine he's married, my wife. How can I look at myself in the mirror, knowing that I got rolled by you people, that you have put me to risk? Put on your effing masks. Otherwise, I'm not doing this at all.
I don't know if
have to stand up. People have to stand up and say, this is unacceptable behavior, and I'm not going to be engaged with this, especially if you're in a position of power. Chris Wallace could have just ended it all right there and said, "You're gonna have to put on your masks, otherwise I'm walking. I have enough money in my bank account.
He should have done
this
that.
Freaking job."
Right there on TV.
I don't know if you saw the interaction between Chris Wallace and I believe it was Mark Meadows on Sunday.
I did.
It is definitely worth watching because he did. I mean, I agree. He should have done it during the debate, but he definitely calls them out on his Sunday show for that. And man, it's worth watching if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. We have done the hour. Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Nokasuchi, for joining me today. Nokasuchi, man, I hope you get better with the cooties.
Yeah, I'll definitely be posting on Facebook once I get the results and everything, so you guys will know first with everybody else.
All right, and thank you to everybody who, in the damnation over at the chat and the YouTube chat for joining us this morning, and everybody on Facebook. And we got somebody over here, James, who is listening on the Daily Atheist Morning Show podcast live. Buddy, we're just now wrapping it up. Join us tomorrow and you'll catch the rest of it. Nokasuchi, Andy, Super Andy, the Andy of Power, brother. Do you have anything going on? What's coming up?
I got a bunch of fun-filled activities going on my channel this week. I got a local comedian podcaster on Tuesday, 11 a.m.
Wait. I'm sorry. Pardon me for interrupting. Did you hit 1,000?
No, I'm still at 995, I think, for my subscriber rate. That's what
Andy is this close to hitting 1,000 people. If you're not a subscriber to Andy Hall on YouTube, pop down there, subscribe to Andy Hall, get him to 1K.
I've heard he's very funny. I've heard he's a funny guy, Chris.
That's not what I've heard, but he's
a great. Very good.
I heard he tries to be funny. He tries
really hard.
So if you're not a subscriber to Andy Hall, go get that. I'm sorry, Andy. Pardon my interruption. Carry on, sir.
That's okay, brother. So I got Justin coming in, a buddy of mine. I performed with him. He's coming on Tuesday. I'm sure we're going to be talking about politics. And he hasn't been on the channel before, so he's a fun guy. I've got Nathan Timmel and coming in on Friday, who's also a comedian out in Iowa. We're going to be just talking about the end of the world, along with Dennis, Dead Air Mailer. He's going to be on with me on Friday. So I've got a show coming up on Wednesday, too. We're going to be talking about skepticism and pseudoscience and all that other happy stuff. So, yeah. it's going to be an interesting and crazy week. And I'm going to be trying to drop another comedy short video too during this week.
Wonderful.
I don't know what yet, but
we'll see what happens. I like the Andy stuff. Nokasuchi, brother, what do you got going on? Assuming you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, as if I'm feeling tonight how I'm feeling today, I'm assuming because I'm not going to be working tonight. Surprise night off. I probably will try to stream tonight. But yeah, I'm gonna mainly be going to the doctor today and trying to take care of this. But yeah, I'm hoping to stream tonight, and I will definitely let everybody know as soon as I know what's going on.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Good luck.
All right, thank you everybody else on the chat again. All of our people, we had 18 voters. 17 people said hell yes. So awesome. There we go. All right, man. We are off to save the world. We'll see you tomorrow. Hope you all stay safe. Take care. And
take care.
Tomorrow. Thank you for watching the show. A special shout out to my gold level Patreon supporters, Ian Davenport, Cindy Plaza, and tons of mice. Thank you and have a great day.